So how many of y'all are like me, just waiting on the other shoe to drop? Like, I don't know what's about to happen, but there's clearly something about to happen, right? We see the writing on the wall. So this video here is U.S. Navy surrounds Russian warship, then this happens. So let's check this out. See if we can try to make sense or figure out what is going on and about to happen.
No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
The high seas have always been a stage for geopolitical tension, where the world's most powerful navies display their strength. But recent events have taken these encounters to a new level of intrigue. In a surprising move, the U.S. Navy surrounded a Russian warship off the coast of Florida, sparking a chain of events no one saw coming. What prompted this bold maneuver? And what were the immediate repercussions? Join us as we dive into the remarkable events that transpired on the open waters. Recently, the Pentagon made a big move by dispatching 3 Navy destroyers and some maritime patrol aircraft to keep a close watch on a cluster of Russian ships that ventured just 30 miles from the Florida coast during their missile exercises. A defense official mentioned that the ships were under continuous observation as they navigated the Atlantic, staying within international waters. Interestingly,
now hearing that, what did your mind automatically think of? My mind, like, okay, is this a diversion? Get all our focus on these Russian warships and we don't see what else they're doing in the background or what's coming around the side? Like typical setup, come to the front door, but somebody go around the back. And while you're so focused on who's at the front door, the person sneak up behind you from the back door and get you. Like, my mind is like that. I'm like, yo. And I know these are highly trained, highly intelligent. So they probably got all different angles covered, and I hope so. But that's just the first thing that pops into my mind when you hear that. It's like they're trying to, I don't know. It just don't, something ain't right about this.
Russia didn't keep its activities under wraps. The state-run media openly announced that 4 ships, including a frigate and a nuclear-powered submarine, were set to visit Havana between June 12 and June 17. Adding to the transparency, the Russian Ministry of Defense had already posted online about the exercises, boasting about the use of high-precision missile weapons, and even sharing videos from the vessels. These exercises weren't just for show. The crews of the frigate and submarine were busy practicing with high-precision missile weapons through computer simulations. These simulations were no small feat, targeting naval groups of a pretend enemy more than 600 kilometers away. Importantly, no actual missiles were launched during these drills. In a twist worthy of a spy thriller, the Pentagon stayed mum on the exact U.S. assets deployed in response, leaving amateur analysts to don their virtual detective hats. Armed with public flight and ship tracking data, they swiftly identified the stars of the show: the USS Truxtun, USS Donald Cook, and USS Delbert D. Black, sailing stealthily into the scene. But that's not all. The sky was abuzz with the formidable U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon aircraft, playing a strategic game of cat and mouse against unseen foes below the ocean's surface. A defense official added fuel to the speculation fire, mentioning routine operations across the Atlantic involving the Navy's U.S. Second Fleet, U.S. Fourth Fleet, U.S. Coast Guard Atlantic Area, and even the Canadian Joint Task Force Atlantic. Talk about a star-studded affair on the high seas.
I like to hear that we was ready and prepared. I like that. I like that. Couldn't help but smile knowing we was prepared. I would like to think so. You know what I mean? But we got to be seriously prepared, especially if we pay attention to recent events that have happened, i.e. Russia, Ukraine. We do know he will stop at nothing. So I like hearing we're prepared.
If that wasn't intriguing enough, a recent Defense Department snapshot captured the USS Truxtun in a surprising dance with the Canadian frigate HMCS Ville de Quebec in the U.S. Coast Guard Cutterstone. It was a maritime ballet, each vessel playing its part in the grand orchestration of power and precision. Meanwhile, online sleuths whispered of a connection between these maneuvers and a certain Russian presence, turning the whole affair into a gripping game of nautical chess. The U.S. Navy destroyers glided like chess pieces, their sleek forms a testament to both strength and strategy as they navigated the waves with practiced ease. Above, the P-8 Poseidon aircraft kept a watchful eye, scanning the vast expanse for any hint of the unexpected. On the opposing side, the Russian ships moved with purpose, their crews immersed in a dance of technology and tactics, adding to the tension of this maritime drama. It was a scene straight out of a blockbuster movie, where every move mattered and the stakes couldn't be higher. The tension between the U.S. and Russian naval forces was almost palpable, a silent standoff. On the open waters, amidst this high-stakes game, the Canadian and U.S. Coast Guard ships stood as symbols of Allied strength, their synchronized movements with the U.S. destroyers painting a picture of unity and readiness. Recent days have seen a buzz of activity as online analysts meticulously track the Russian fleet's movements, noting their proximity to U.S. shores, just 25 miles off the coast according to some reports, with others specifically mentioning South Florida. Social media platforms like Telegram were abuzz with images shared by Russian state-run outlets, showcasing the Russian ships, including a formidable frigate and a stealthy submarine docking in Havana. Pentagon spokesperson Singh aimed to calm nerves, downplaying the significance of the port visit as routine, albeit with a twist. These weren't just any Russian vessels. They were equipped with some of Russia's latest and most advanced military technology. Take, for instance, the Admiral Gorshkov frigate, a marvel introduced in 2018, or the Kazan submarine, launched in 2021 and boasting a range of cutting-edge weaponry, including the hypersonic Zircon anti-ship missile. Experts from the Royal United Services Institute highlighted the Kazan's impressive capabilities, matching or even surpassing Western counterparts in stealth and strike capabilities. The admiration for this Russian class of submarines was so profound that a U.S. Navy official proudly displayed a model of its lead boat outside his office for daily admiration. The increased frequency of Russian naval visits to Cuba didn't go unnoticed, especially against the backdrop of heightened tensions due to U.S. support for Ukraine and NATO exercises. As one defense official put it, these activities are likely a sign of things to come, hinting at a potentially more dynamic and confrontational maritime landscape in the future. This recent occurrence indicates a significant change, as the Russian vessels included are among the most sophisticated in their collection. Their nearness to U.S. coastlines emphasizes the ongoing tensions and the tactical moves made by both countries.
It seems like the same game plan. This is exactly what they did. Oh, this was training. When they were setting up for Ukraine, remember how it started out? I was glued to the TV. Because everybody kept hearing training exercise. This is a training exercise, but not that many. Not that many troops, that many ships, not that many tanks and vehicles. Come on, man. It was a lot of things going on. This is starting to look like the beginning of how that started.
The advanced features of the Admiral Gorshkov frigate and Kazan submarine highlight the changing dynamics of naval strength and the necessity of closely observing these advancements. Now, the Pentagon might say these visits are no big deal, just routine business. But the sophistication of these ships tells a different story. The Kekurikaitom. Kazan's stealth capabilities and firepower, paired with the modern prowess of Admiral Gorshkov, underscore Russia's push to modernize its navy. This move is likely a counter to the U.S.'s increasing military support to its allies, especially in hotspot regions like Eastern Europe. As we watch these events unfold, it's clear both the U.S. and Russia are very much aware of each other's moves and strengths. This situation is a prime example of the larger geopolitical chess game that's been going on for decades. Remember the Cold War? That intense period of rivalry and tension between the U.S. and the Soviet Union stretched from the end of World War II in 1945 until the Soviet Union dissolved in 1991. During the Cold War, the capitalist West, led by the U.S., and the communist East, headed by the Soviet Union, were locked in a global struggle that shaped international relations, military strategies, and even technological advancements. The recent maneuvers of Russian ships near the U.S. coast and their docking in Havana bring back memories of those days, emphasizing the lasting impact of that era on today's geopolitics. The Cold War sprang from clashing visions of how the world should rebuild and govern after World War II. The U.S. pushed for democratic governance and free market economies, while the Soviet Union aimed to expand its centralized control and communist ideology. These differing visions set the stage for decades of tension and competition, a legacy that still influences the world's power dynamics today. The clash of ideas at the heart of this era sparked a worldwide competition for influence. This competition took many forms, including spreading ideas through media, giving economic support, forming military partnerships, and sometimes indirectly facing off. The control of oceans was crucial during this time because it allowed countries to show their military strength and keep trade routes safe. Both the US and Soviet navies often played a game of strategy, using submarines, warships, and aircraft carriers to gain advantages. The Russian ships near US territory and their stop in Havana remind us of Cold War strategies. Back then, both superpowers would send fleets to show strength, gather information, and either reassure or scare friends and enemies. The presence of modern Russian ships like the Admiral Gorshkov frigate and the Kazan submarine near the U.S. shows a similar strategic approach to what we saw during the Cold War. The Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962 was a major event during the Cold War. It became intense when the United States found out that the Soviet Union had placed ballistic missiles in Cuba, very close to the U.S. coast. This discovery caused immediate concern in the U.S., leading to quick and clear actions. The U.S. set up a naval blockade around Cuba and demanded that the missiles be removed. This was a critical situation, with the world facing the possibility of a nuclear disaster. Tensions were extremely high as both the U.S. and the Soviet Union negotiated intensely while also considering their military positions carefully. Fortunately, the crisis was resolved through diplomatic talks and some strategic compromises. This prevented a disastrous escalation that could have had severe consequences worldwide.
So y'all think we have another one of those in us? Diplomatic talks? You think we got another one of those in us to happen? Now, I know a lot of people gonna point to the election and say, you know, if anybody watched the debate, that was one of the things that Trump spoke about. He said, according to him, that he can have this thing resolved before he is elected into office, barring that he's elected. He said he could do it. Can he? That still remains to be seen. I don't know. They're really in the thick of it. So saying that you could just end something that's been going on now for how long? It's a pretty bold statement. But as far as us and them goes, do y'all think we got a diplomatic talk in us? It's interesting.
The recent arrival of Russian ships in Havana reminds us of this historic event, underscoring Cuba's ongoing importance in U.S.-Russian relations. While the presence of these ships doesn't pose an immediate threat, according to Pentagon spokeswoman Singh, it does serve as a reminder of the strategic moves made during the Cold War and the potential for things to escalate. The Cold War period was characterized by a significant arms race where both the United States and the Soviet Union heavily invested in developing advanced military technologies. This included nuclear weapons, long-range ballistic missiles, and advanced naval ships. For instance, the Russian submarine Kazan, which was put into service in 2021 and armed with cutting-edge hypersonic missiles, is a continuation of this historical trend. During this era, there was a focus on creating nuclear-powered submarines that could stay underwater for long durations, enabling them to launch nuclear missiles from beneath the sea surface. The capabilities of submarines like Kazan, as analyzed by the Royal United Services Institute, demonstrate the ongoing progress in submarine technology and its strategic significance. The Cold War rivalry extended beyond traditional warfare to include domains like space exploration, espionage, and cyber operations. The space race, marked by the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik in 1957 and the U.S. moon landing in 1969, was a notable aspect of this competition. Additionally, advancements in submarine technology and naval strength were crucial for maintaining strategic balance and deterring potential conflicts. Espionage and intelligence gathering were fundamental strategies during the Cold War. Both superpowers operated extensive spy networks, and conducted surveillance activities to understand each other's capabilities and intentions. Naval operations also involved intelligence missions, with submarines and reconnaissance aircraft playing vital roles in gathering strategic information. The recent actions of Russian warships near the U.S. coast could be viewed as part of a broader effort to gather intelligence, similar to practices during the Cold War. Back then, Soviet submarines often operated close to U.S. waters to monitor naval activities, collect electronic information, and test American defense readiness. Likewise, the U.S. conducted similar operations, deploying submarines and ships near Soviet waters for reconnaissance purposes. The Cold War era was marked by the formation of military alliances like NATO and the Warsaw Pact, which divided Europe and other regions into opposing groups. These alliances aimed to ensure collective security and prevent aggression from either side. Alongside direct military confrontations, the period saw numerous proxy wars where the U.S. and the Soviet Union supported opposing factions in regional conflicts. Examples include the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and conflicts in the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Cuba, led by Fidel Castro, emerged as a significant Soviet ally in the Western Hemisphere during this time. The Soviet Union provided military and economic assistance to Cuba, solidifying its position as a key player in the Cold War dynamics. The frequent visits of Russian naval ships to Cuba show how important alliances and regional influence are in today's geopolitics. Similar to the Cold War era, current geopolitical strategies focus on forming and maintaining alliances to counter rival powers. Russian spy ships equipped with advanced electronic surveillance technology often approach the American fleet closely, aiming to gather information about their activities. Despite this, the American Navy remains composed and employs clever tactics when these spy ships become too intrusive. During such encounters,
So them basically pulling up is them drawing us out to see what we're working with, for them to gain some sort of intelligence. What will we send initially? See, this is, like I said, this is all chess. This is all chess. So what we're seeing is the first move by them to see what we would do to counter that move that they just made. This could be interesting. Well, it's gonna be interesting. Let's see how we play this.
Counters around 5,000 sailors swiftly act to deactivate electronic devices and create false signals to confuse the spies. The efficiency and quick decision-making inside American ships during these tense moments are remarkable. Now let's delve into why these Russian spy ships hold significant importance for Russia. Their primary objective is not combat, but rather gathering confidential information and monitoring global maritime activities. They serve as the eyes and ears of the Russian Navy, constantly observing and listening. Equipped with highly sophisticated surveillance tools, these ships can intercept various communications, including radar signals and radio transmissions. This capability allows Russia to stay informed about sea movements, track naval activities, and assess the technological capabilities of other navies. Moreover, these spy ships can actively disrupt enemy electronics, employing deceptive methods to interfere with radar systems and communication networks. This interference complicates the enemy's ability to comprehend the situation accurately. Russian intelligence vessels utilize advanced technology such as radar and sonar to discreetly monitor the movements of U.S. Navy ships. These Russian vessels are frequently encountered by the U.S. Navy and are permitted under international law to traverse specific zones near the United States. In January 2023, a Russian intelligence ship was observed approximately 100 miles off the coast of Hawaii. Similarly, in 2019, another Russian intelligence ship was flagged for its unsafe behavior near the southeastern coast of the United States. Understanding these intelligence-gathering vessels is crucial, as they sometimes approach U.S. aircraft carriers in open waters, posing potential risks. To delve deeper into aircraft carriers, they function as mobile airfields for the U.S. Navy, serving various roles such as security operations, disaster response, and combat missions. The United States boasts 11 massive nuclear-powered carriers, each capable of accommodating around 80 fighter jets. These carriers stand as the largest globally, offering more aircraft storage space than all other countries. Carriers combined, they are equipped with formidable armaments and significantly contribute to safeguarding vital maritime routes and addressing international challenges. When a Russian spy ship comes too near, the Combat EU Information Center, also called the Action Information Center, becomes active, acting like the brain of an aircraft carrier. This special area has all the necessary tools. Its main task is to collect, organize, and share information about combat situations. It also handles specific tasks related to controlling combat as directed by the proper authority. You can think of it as the command center where all critical information is gathered and processed, and decisions are made to ensure the safety and effectiveness of the ship or aircraft in combat. Information comes into the CIC from different sources such as radar, sonar, visual lookouts, electronic countermeasure equipment, radio direction finders, intelligence reports, weather data, operation orders, and other documents. This wide range of information needs to be organized and displayed in a way that its tactical importance is clear. Understanding this information is crucial for giving commands and taking the right actions. When a Russian spy ship is spotted too close to the aircraft carrier, the CIC follows strict procedures to activate alarm systems. Audible and visual alerts are sent out across the carrier to notify the crew of a potential threat. This is essential to ensure that everyone on board is aware and ready to respond. All crew members on the carrier are highly trained to handle any situation. They know the protocols and procedures to follow during such events. When the alarm goes off, the carrier switches to high alert mode. Crew members quickly move to their assigned positions, prepared to carry out their roles and duties. Communication within the military is highly prioritized, focusing on clear and succinct protocols to ensure accurate and prompt information transmission. This is crucial for taking appropriate actions promptly, ensuring the safety of the carrier and its crew. Standardized procedures and codes are established to facilitate the transmission of specific instructions and responses in an orderly and comprehensible manner. For instance, in combat centers, communication is facilitated through intercom systems, radios, and other devices, enabling seamless communication with the crew. This setup streamlines the process for officers in the Combat Information Center to relay vital messages to all parts of the ship or targeted sections, ensuring that pertinent information reaches everyone efficiently.
And they said we got about, 20 of those carriers? Or is that how many they're able to hold? Where's somebody at that know about this, man? Talk to me in the comment section, bro. Like, I like to see this, man, because as an outsider looking in from the military, I've never been in the military, don't have any military experience, don't have anybody around me that I could get this information from, you know? My dad wasn't there. I don't have a granddad. And he wasn't, if he was in the military, I didn't know it when he was alive. Like, I don't have any of that, man. Sometimes I'd be a little jealous, man, envious of people who have that person in their family that can give them those stories or talk to them about that type of stuff. And if I would have saw this, I could have called them and said, like, what do y'all think? What do you think? How will we respond and have that type of conversation? I don't have that. So I have to look to y'all, man. So y'all let me know.
Consider a scenario where the crew is alerted about the presence of an enemy spy ship nearby. In response, various units aboard the ship immediately implement defense protocols. Spy ships are adept at stealthily gathering sensitive information from aircraft carriers, including operational details, mission plans, and even personal data about the crew. Therefore, swift and effective communication and action are imperative to thwart such threats and safeguard vital information and personnel. The initial action taken is to prevent the enemy from accessing any information. For instance, sailors might receive instructions to switch off all electronic devices. This proactive measure aims to eliminate any possibility of the enemy intercepting signals or obtaining unauthorized information. Disabling these devices also contributes to maintaining order and security on the ship. Ensuring everything remains secure is crucial to enabling the crew to concentrate on their tasks efficiently. In the context of U.S. Navy aircraft carriers, numerous sophisticated systems are in place to safeguard their operations. These systems are designed to interfere with surveillance conducted by spy ships, making it challenging for them to engage in covert activities. They not only impede spying activities, but also disrupt communications and radar capabilities, hindering the enemy's ability to gather intelligence or carry out any malicious actions. Electronic jamming serves as a critical defense strategy employed to confound enemy spy ships. This strategy involves emitting signals that disrupt the radar signals utilized by these ships for surveillance and tracking purposes. Likewise, large vessels such as aircraft carriers are equipped with advanced communication jamming devices. These devices can interfere with or block radio signals and communication waves utilized by spy ships. The ultimate objective is to impair the enemy's capacity to communicate and coordinate effectively, thus thwarting their hostile intentions. Aircraft carriers also employ clever strategies to confuse enemy spy ships. One such tactic involves using decoys that mimic the electronic signals of real ships. This creates a sense of uncertainty, making it challenging for spy ships to differentiate between genuine signals and decoys. This diversionary technique is crucial for safeguarding aircraft carriers from easy detection. Additionally, carriers utilize signal intelligence, also known as SIGINT, to gather a wide range of signals and communication data from the enemy. These signals could include spoken conversations, written messages, or data from radar and weapon systems. This information serves as valuable insight into the activities of spy ships, how they function, their plans, and potential threats they may pose. By analyzing the patterns of these signals over time, carriers can make educated guesses about the intentions and plans of spy ships. This understanding aids in devising effective strategies to disrupt their communications and, if necessary, respond appropriately to potential threats. The intelligence team aboard the carrier goes beyond mere surveillance of spy ships. They meticulously observe and analyze the behavior and movements of these ships. This includes assessing whether the spy ship is displaying aggressive behavior and its proximity to the carrier group. Through this observation, they can determine the level of threat posed by the spy ship and its objectives. With this comprehensive information, naval commanders can make informed decisions about how to address and respond to the presence of spy ships, ensuring the safety and security of the carrier group. The leaders of the carrier also carefully examine all the gathered information about the spy ship to determine the level of risk in the situation. They consider factors such as the spy ship's past behaviors, the current circumstances, and their assessment of the threat posed by the spy ship. This assessment guides their decision-making process, whether they choose to engage in dialogue or prepare for defensive measures, depending on their perception of the spy ship's danger level. Despite being swift and technologically advanced, spy ships cannot catch a U.S. aircraft carrier off guard. The carrier's sophisticated surveillance systems are highly effective and capable of detecting these spy ships from considerable distances.
I like hearing that. They can't catch us off guard. That's a little more reassuring to hear that. I mean, taking it from this video, but still in all, I like to hear that. It's nothing they can really do to catch us off guard. We're prepared, probably over-prepared. I just like that. That little bit of reassurance goes a long way. Be great to hear that from the Pentagon every now and then, reassurances.
To ensure comprehensive monitoring, U.S. Navy aircraft carriers employ advanced radar techniques and technologies. These radar systems serve various functions, including scanning the water surface for ships. One specific type, known as surface search radar, proves particularly valuable in this regard, aiding carriers in identifying nearby ships as well as potential hazards like rocks or other obstacles in the water. The U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers don't just rely on powerful radars for spotting threats. They use a mix of technologies like visual lookouts, electronic countermeasures, radio direction finders, and intelligence reports. This combination helps in not only identifying potential dangers, like spy ships, but also in making sure they don't stay hidden. Let's explore why spotting spy ships quickly is crucial and the possible consequences of delays. Detecting spy ships is vital for keeping maritime areas safe. These ships aren't typical war vessels. Their main job is gathering intelligence rather than engaging in direct battles. However, if they're spotted near U.S. aircraft carriers and seen as a threat to the country's security, action must be taken. Not detecting spy ships promptly can lead to several serious outcomes. Firstly, it gives these ships more time to collect sensitive information, which could harm national security. Secondly, a delayed response raises the risk of these vessels carrying out aggressive actions or teaming up with other hostile groups for attacks. This not only puts the carrier's safety at risk, but also threatens regional stability on a larger scale. The rules of engagement ROE are crucial in guiding responses to such situations. ROE are rules and instructions that explain the circumstances, conditions, extent, and manner in which force or actions that might be seen as provocative can be used. For U.S. Navy ships encountering enemy vessels, ROE focuses on calming tensions, but also provides a structure for escalating responses when needed. When dealing with potentially hostile ships up close, U.S. Navy sailors must follow strict ROE. These rules ensure that actions taken match the threat level. The decision to use deadly force depends on how much danger the approaching enemy ship poses. This highlights the importance of quick and accurate detection to assess threats well and respond appropriately within the limits of international law and military rules. Exploring the possible meeting of a Russian spy ship and a U.S. aircraft carrier reveals the complexity and difficulty of such situations. It's crucial to emphasize how ready the U.S. Navy must be to deal with threats from other countries. The Navy has top-notch technology, advanced surveillance tools, and cutting-edge defensive and offensive systems on its ships. With these resources, the Navy can quickly find, evaluate, and deal with the threats in a short time. Their ability to react and adjust to changing situations shows how strong and prepared they are. The dedication and bravery of the sailors in the Navy are vital in keeping the U.S. powerful in the vast oceans. Their thorough training and strong commitment to their duties demonstrate the Navy's strength and determination to protect national interests and keep the seas secure. In delving into a potential encounter between a Russian spy ship and a U.S. aircraft carrier, it becomes clear how intricate and demanding such situations can be. It's crucial to stress the significance of being well prepared when discussing the readiness of the U.S. Navy to handle threats from its opponents. The Navy is equipped with advanced technology, sophisticated surveillance systems, and state-of-the-art offensive and defensive mechanisms on its warships. This array of tools enables the Navy to quickly detect, evaluate, and counter threats within an exceptionally short time frame. The Navy's capacity to react and adjust to evolving circumstances is a reflection of its robustness and preparedness. The dedication and bravery displayed by the sailors in the U.S. Navy play a pivotal role in upholding the nation's dominance in the expansive oceans. Their rigorous training and unwavering dedication to their duties highlight the potency and resilience of the Navy in safeguarding national interests and ensuring maritime security.